Welcome to the beginning of the Another World lore breakdown video series. This is a series of videos I've been wanting to do for a long time, as the story behind my level series is one of my favorite things to create in it. The point of this series is to describe a small group of similar characters each episode to dive deep into what's going on with them. I gotta say, this format was mostly inspired by the likes of Noodlekin and MC Stars, who made really cool lore breakdown videos, by the way. You should go check theirs out after this one. Anyway, in this episode, we'll be starting out with some of the first characters you meet in the story, those being Sunrise, the rest of the Navigator Stars, and the player character themselves, Hal. Before we continue, I've got to say some spoilers and such will probably be dropped here, so spoiler warning to all you people who don't want to hear those. Alright, let's go. So who are the Navigator Stars? Well, they're a race of celestial, godlike shaped beings. These stars all live in Elevatia, a world above the rest, where they look down on all the different universes, timelines, dimensions, and whatever else you want to call them that are in the multiverse. The multiverse is a collection of all universes, basically. Each Navigator Star has some sort of power shards or crystals on their body, which contain their power and life source. Nobody knows who founded the Order of Navigator Stars. Some say it was the first Navigator Star. Others say that the stars were created by the creator of the multiverse. But nobody really needs to know. It doesn't matter to them, their mission stays the same. All the stars have a world to look over for themselves. Some stars have multiple worlds to look over. Some stars are apprentice dwarf stars that assist other stars as a form of training. And the star that looks over the world of stars itself is Nova, who is effectively the current leader of the Navigator Stars. Their society is powered by a combination of magic and technology. For them, technology is powered by magic, actually. Now, how do the Navigator Stars protect worlds? They're godlike, right? They're pretty powerful, too. Couldn't they just go in and fix it up themselves? Nah. They know they're too powerful to intervene directly, and this is where the Navigator part comes in. The Navigator Stars recruit heroes from across the entire multiverse to send off to protect other worlds. Navigator Stars will usually go to the world of the hero they've got in mind for a job by using the standard for Navigator Star travel, an interdimensional warp tunnel, or just a warp tunnel if you prefer. A warp tunnel isn't one portal from point A to point B. Remember, we're talking about multiple universes here. That's a pretty long distance. Even with all their power, determination, and knowledge, the top Navigator Star Reachers couldn't get a portal to stretch across more than a single world. It would just take too much energy to activate and keep open for a long time if it went further. It wouldn't be possible for them. The Warp Tunnel is basically a loophole in this. Rather than making one giant portal, Navigator Stars make several small portals which form a tunnel that passes through multiple neighboring realities in a sort of chain link fashion. This has worked pretty well so far for them. Outside of Elevatia, the Navigator Stars are mostly only regarded as a myth or a legend in universes. They don't intend to make their presence known anyway, they want to be secretive. There are various Navigator Stars in Elevatia that are somewhat important. Nova, as mentioned before, is of course very important since they basically run the place. There's more though. If you've watched a prologue cutscene, you probably recognize most of these. Centauri is a star working to help Atlas, a group that protects its own world and wants to expand to protect other worlds as well. Ray is an apprentice to another star who's been looking over a very important world, and that other star is Sunrise, a well-experienced and good-intentioned star who's been overseeing another world's nameless universe. The world Sunrise is in charge of has no real name for unknown reasons. As such, it's only vaguely referred to with names like there or here. This alone makes Sunrise's job interesting, but it gets even more complicated because of the power struggle going on in this world. In this world, a massive company, Power Sound Technologies, is beginning to research potentially dangerous projects behind closed doors, such as multiversal travel and dark matter. Navigator Stars aren't really a fan of when other people mess with the multiverse and powers beyond what they should be using, and they know that Power Sound CEO, Quinzoid, is only doing it to expand his influence and power. The dark matter is particularly concerning to them. However, rather than sending a hero right away, Sunrise takes a new approach. They realize that there's already somebody wary of Quinzoid in this unnamed world, and their name is Phoenix. Phoenix is a protector of sorts of this world, and she works to safeguard it from threats just like this. So, Sunrise thinks this is a perfect opportunity to work with them, and goes to talk with Phoenix and reveals the whole entire Navigator Star thing to them. Phoenix is initially not on board with this idea. She doesn't trust the Navigator Stars after they appear out of nowhere and sees them as trying to take over for her job. However, she comes to an agreement with them that they won't send the hero provided Quinzoid's dark portal is prevented from being activated. She would prefer they didn't send one at all, but she's basically forced into this decision. Fast forward to some time later, and Phoenix's relationship with the Navigator Stars has only grown worse. While Power Sound's progress on dark research has halted, she's also commissioned the company to design and build a device that would entirely lock out the planet or even world from the outside. This defense system, dubbed the Sphere, is the ultimate option to either prevent threats from outside or contain threats inside. Navigator Stars are heavily against this being built and warned her not to build it. It would entirely cut off the world from the outside, which includes the Navigator Stars. Navigator Stars wouldn't be able to observe it nearly as well as they could, or even at all. Phoenix just doesn't care though. She doesn't want them bothering her and thinks she can handle the entire world on her own. When the Stars try to get in touch with her about it, she cuts ties with them, believing that they're sacrificing the security of her world in order to maintain surveillance of it. I'll be explaining the Sphere, Phoenix, Power Sound, and Dark Matter in more detail in a different lore episode. But for now, we're going to focus on the Navigator Star side of this. After the deal between Phoenix and Power Sound for the Sphere falls apart, and when who gets control over it is debated, Quinsley goes back to working on Dark Matter and activates a portal into the empty void full of it. In response to this, Phoenix activates the Sphere in an attempt to block and shut down the portal and to prevent any dark matter from leaving the world. Realizing that there's now an imminent threat to the world and only limited time to act on it before the Sphere reaches its full capacity, Sunrise scrambles to get his hero ready to send. And that's where the player comes in. Heroes come in all shapes and sizes, but they share one thing in common. These three squares, special hero crystals. Poured from the crystals of dead Navigator Stars, these squares pack a lot of power into a small package. They allow someone wielding them to gain a speed boost and phase through objects untouched, alongside a sixth sense of sorts that lets them predict incoming attacks, almost as if seeing them beforehand. Now you already know what this is if you've played Project Arrhythmia. Your player is a hero after all named Hal, although you can simply call him the hero if you want to, and I know Hal isn't the name for the character that you play as. Their size is pretty unique. Most heroes are bigger or stronger. Sunrise's reasoning for choosing such a small hero is that they won't draw much attention, and can easily navigate the chaos of the unnamed world. In Shape of the Sun, Sunrise meets with this hero and trains them in their new powers, preparing them for the adventure that awaits. After a bit of training, Sunrise sends them off through a warp tunnel and through several universes to go to another world. Because of the Sphere, Sunrise has to go into the world to maintain contact with Hal and guide them on the mission. They forcefully break open the Sphere while it's still weak and create a small but large enough opening that both Hal and Sunrise can go through. This is largely frowned upon by other stars, but Sunrise understands it's necessary in order to ensure everything goes smoothly. Once inside, Sunrise directs the hero towards the dark portal in order to try and shut it down. Now, you know what happens next. They run into an orange square and Sunrise turns into not Sunrise. But we'll be getting to that into future lore videos as well. If you guys have any more questions about Sunrise and Navigator Stars or the heroes, feel free to ask in the comments below. I'll try and answer your questions either in a reply or in a future video. I'll be discussing Eclipse, Sunrise's death, and a bunch of other things in future videos as well, so I hope you guys stick around for that. Thanks for watching and see ya.